And then there'll be, I didn't mention this, but there'll be, sometimes our guests can see the comments that people write. There's like a comment thing on the side. Sometimes they can't.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So like some people will comment. So we like refer to the comments a little bit too. Like if someone asks a question or someone chimes in, we'll mention it. So there might be some Leroy people that chime in, hopefully, and
yeah, I clicked on the comments section.
and then
Trolls.
and then I don't know, I can see like on my end how many people are like on the live. But anybody can go back and watch it once the live's over. So
okay.
Sometimes it looks like there's 30 people watching live, but then when we go back and check throughout the week, that's when we see like the views where we're getting a decent amount of views and all that. So
okay.
So yeah, that's how we roll it. I gotta tag this stuff here quick and we'll get going.
Okay, cool.
That's that.
If I can remember how to do it.
Peter. Oh, just makes noise.
Are you guys at the school?
Yeah, we're in my office.
Oh, so it looks like you're in a basement.
It's an old office.
I'm trying to remember what that office looks like.
So this is the old district office, so where the superintendent would have been.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm at now. So that's basically the athletic office.
Yeah.
We started in the meeting room, but we actually set up close to my desk so I could hook up the ether.
Oh, gotcha.
So we weren't just working off Wi-Fi.
What, Leroy doesn't have good Wi-Fi or what?
Well, I think it does, but sometimes our tech guy sets it up to shut down.
Never school.
School on the weekends. So I didn't want to be in the middle of this and then like we hit a certain time and then all of a sudden everything's gone.
Yeah.
Do you care if I tag your Leroy Panther page too?
No, go for it. Facebook?
Yeah, the Facebook one.
Yeah.
Hold on, it was on the other page, so sorry. We'll get going. Bo, have you ever been on a podcast before?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I've been on an official one. No, class projects and such like that for sure, but I don't think so.
Nice. All right.
First deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. I'll kick it off here. So this is Beyond the Scoreboard podcast, episode number 33. First thing we got to shout out as always our sponsors, AdCraft with the shirts that I'm wearing here. And then Fat Lead also has some shirts for us. So again, like always, if anybody needs any gear, let us know. We can hook you up. We can get you going there. We do, as you can see, we have some guests with us tonight. I will let these two go ahead and introduce themselves quick, and then we'll get into the show. Go ahead, guys.
Go ahead.
My name is BJ Zeleznik. I'm a senior here at Leroy High School in Illinois, and here to talk about everything under the sun, football.
Yep. BJ Zeleznik, head football coach, head track coach, AD at Leroy High School, Leroy, Illinois. This is just completed my 22nd season as head coach. This is my 20th year as AD and my 26th year in the district. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it. Yeah, you were definitely one of the guests I wanted to have on. So I'm glad you decided to join us. Appreciate it. Great. So I didn't know how long you've been a track coach.
Man, since 2011.
Since 2011?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So 14 years.
Nice.
Yeah, unexpected, but it's worked out well. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. Bo, do you run track as well?
Or I baseball play baseball in the spring. Yep. Okay. Track workouts every so often just to stay in shape and run.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah. Well, it's the unique thing about Iowa is they do school baseball in the summer.
They do summer ball.
They do summer, yeah. So
I would like that format. give kids
it's
opportunity.
I mean, then you got a lot of 4-sport athletes, and sometimes even 5-sport, but it is tough though and we've talked about this on here before, the baseball in the summer, because if you have a kid that plays football, a kid that plays basketball, and then a kid that also plays baseball, you're doing summer basketball stuff, you're doing summer football stuff, and
Right.
it can be a lot. So kids got to learn to balance a lot of things out. One thing they don't have to balance is school, which is good, but they are doing a lot during that time. So it is interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Tanner Weber, he commented, he said, "Let's hear the record. Don't be humble for your coaching record." But we'll get into that later, Tanner. Tanner's like our number one fan. He's our guy.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Watching. So
Hi, Tanner.
yeah, he's a good dude. So like I said, we'll get into Bo's stats later too, which those are pretty impressive, and Coach Z's stats as well. But first thing I want to talk about, and so Leroy kind of has a lot of like first for me.
Sure.
It was my first career varsity start at quarterback from Gibson City GCMS against Leroy.
I remember that game.
Yeah, I do too. We got killed. You guys, well, it was 01.
It was last year, the cooperative.
And you guys were loaded.
Yes.
Did you guys get second in the state that year?
We went 13-1.
Yeah.
In 3A state finals, got beat by Spring Valley Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a fantastic football team.
Yeah, some of those names that are like Evan Coombs, Nathan Lindstrom.
Yeah. Nathan's snap still for us.
Yeah. Was it like a Pilchard? Is that one of them? A linebacker?
Tyler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler Pilchard. Yeah.
I remember one thing. I remember we got killed. It was like 45-6 or something. But I remember you had 2 defensive tackles. I think one's name was Wheeler and one was Tate.
Yes.
And I didn't run the ball much as a quarterback, and I remember Coach Allen calling like a QB sneak like 2 times in a row. And Wheeler and the Tate, they're like 260, big dudes. I'm 150 pounds. I'm like, Coach, like I'm not getting by these guys. And we weren't real good offensively up front.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wheeler was 6'8", 310 pounds.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah.
We were a very large football team.
Yeah.
That year.
And then you had like good skill guys too.
Yeah.
The receiver,
McLaughlin.
Yeah.
He was a good DB as well. One kind of note about that group that a lot of people don't know about is the running back stable on that team had 3 all-state running backs.
Jeez.
So the Coombs kid was first team all-state that year in 01. The next year in 02, there was a kid who ran for Tri-Valley because the co-op had split by the name of Martin. And he was all-state in 02. And then 03, the Hubbard kid was all-state for Leroy in 03. And those were our 3 tailbacks that year. So it was just the riches. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, you guys are tough. I remember that. And just defensively flying around the ball, and that was a tough first career varsity start there for sure, but it was fun. I'll never forget it.
Yeah. It's memorable, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We've all been
I remember all those names too, like it was yesterday. It's crazy, but and that was 24 years ago. But yeah, getting old.
Yes.
The other first for me was Leroy was my first like high school coaching gig too.
Yeah.
As under your staff, and
we would have loved to have kept you.
Yeah.
We were sad to see you go, but that's kind of how it works sometimes, right?
I loved it there. And I had a good experience student teaching with Coach DeWald and
another legend.
Sally Henrietto.
Sally Henrietto. She's still around town.
Is she? Really nice.
Yeah.
So and then Coach Morse at the elementary school.
Yeah.
He was
Yep,
with
Tom.
me too. So yeah, I learned a lot teaching wise there, and then obviously coaching football under you and your staff was awesome. I had a lot of fun doing that.
It was fun. I look back on that time and we were just a bunch of babies.
Yeah, that would have been 2008
Yeah.
when I was in the fall there. So
It's amazing.
well, okay, who's still on staff with you from that? So Lindstrom still on staff?
Lindstrom,
Coach Kahn?
and Greg Kahn, and I think
Uh,
that's Doug
Tom-
Larson no longer coaches,
Okay,
and he's still here doing IT.
nice.
But I think that's it.
Yeah, because then Coach Mead was on staff.
Yeah. Yep. He's moved on, and
Coach Deliri.
Coach Deliri's moved on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably missing somebody, but those are the ones I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times. I mean, I think we were 3-6 that year, or you were 3-6.
Yeah, we
that year,
were.
and
We were.
but pretty young. And I remember there was a possibility I could have came back because I didn't have a teaching job yet, and I was just gonna work in Gibson City and come coach. But
just coach.
I ended up getting that job in Fulton and then coming here. So yeah. So obviously, thank you for giving me that opportunity. I don't know if I've ever officially thanked you for that, but appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's fun. And then sorry, I got Jamie Sexton. You guys probably know him. He's on Coach Allen's staff. He said, "Don't tell them your high school record as a player." I'll talk about that a lot, Jamie. Thanks for bringing that up. We went through some pretty tough times there. When
you know what though, Mike Allen, just to give him his props, that guy walked into a situation that struggled, took a ton of heat, and just stuck with it and was just determined and stubborn and just kept grinding and look where he got. You know, unbelievable coach.
Yeah, Coach Allen was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I still talk to him quite a bit to this day, and whenever I'm back home, I always try to see him and visit him. So
yeah, he's done this year. This is it for him.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
Gonna retire.
Yeah,
it's wild.
It is. Time flies, man. It's crazy.
It does.
I've been teaching for 16 years now, so it's crazy.
Yeah,
how quick it goes. All right, let's get into a topic here quick. Let's talk college football playoffs. So obviously it was the first year of the 12-team playoff system. Bo, do you follow college football quite a bit? Or
I do. Yeah, I like watching it.
All right. What were your thoughts on the 12-team playoff? Do you agree with it? Don't agree? Or
I liked it. I know a lot of people weren't a fan just because of the lopsided scores and how they claim that some people shouldn't have been there. But I appreciated a bunch of guys having their shot that they wouldn't otherwise have gotten. So I think it was cool to put a lot more talent and a lot more players on display that wouldn't normally have been there. So I think that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. And anytime you can see more quality football, there's nothing wrong with that, right? So
appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. The other controversy thing was which teams got the buys. So the top four, the top four ranked conference champions basically got the buys, and you got the Boise States, the Arizona States. I don't think any first round bye team won a playoff game. So, I guess we like to ask questions on here. So, do you think that they should just rank it by what their rank actually is, or do you think the conference championships deserve to get that bye?
It's a good question.
I think they should reseed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once they determine who's in, then go power rankings and reseed it, I think, according to the power rankings and go from there. I think the one thing you saw was how the landscape of college football is changing. Because there was a lot of speculation, a lot of argument about who should have got those final spots.
Right.
But in the end, when you watch the games, the playing field is becoming level.
Yeah.
I think because of NIL and kids being able to move and to reload rosters. And yeah, so it's definitely, I think, an interesting view into where we're heading.
Yeah, speaking of like the NIL, so Ohio State, obviously the national champions. They I read an article that they had $20 million of NIL deals on their team. So, Coach Z, what I mean, can colleges really be on an even playing field with like certain schools like Ohio State being able to afford to give their players $20 million or
Yeah, I think the one thing people I don't think quite understand maybe outside the Midwest is just how massive Big Ten universities are and how much money Big Ten universities have. And I think they just got their first dose of it. Because people talk a lot about Alabama, but there's not. I don't think there's as much money at Alabama as there is at some of these Big Ten universities.
right.
And yeah, I think the NIL thing is going to play a huge. Well, obviously, it already has, in so many aspects. But year in and year out, being able to bring kids in and having that budget to do that, yeah, some of these Big Ten universities, I think, are going to be pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah.
So,
do you feel like there should be some type of salary cap or collective bargaining type thing on the NIL to kind of make it more even? Or I mean, I don't know if they can do that now based on how they started it, but
yeah, and I don't even know where that will end up. It's going to go to court, but
right.
I mean, there's going to be legal battles galore over that. But you would have to assume in the next 3 years that they are going to try and implement something to try and lock people in, at least for a year at a certain price, 2 years at a certain price.
Contracts.
Yeah, contracts, just like the NFL. Treat it like a AAA system,
Right. Yeah.
and go from there. Because it's no longer amateur athletics,
No.
at least at the FBS level.
No, and then your high school seniors are kind of getting screwed, I guess you could say, because and plus with the transfer portal and all that. But
I've even heard college people who have been communicating with FCS schools being told that come here, play here for a year or two, and we'll help you get that NIL money and move on to the next level. So they're using that as kind of their recruiting platform, that come play for us for a year or two. We'll get you some stats, we'll get you some offers, and then we'll help move you somewhere else. So that's, I mean, you think about that. So it's like JUCO basically.
Right.
But yeah, everybody's got to change the way they're doing things. So even Division III schools are landing kids to get them on the field.
Yeah.
And then those kids are, if they can get some money, they move out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild. And then there's some kids that aren't say they're telling them they're going to get paid and they don't get paid. I read an article about that too, and
that's dirty.
It is dirty, yeah, and that's
and that, I don't know if you follow that Coach Reed at all on X out of St. Louis.
I don't know.
He posts a lot, and he's pretty sharp. And he posted something the other day where he's talking about how kids got NIL money locked in, and the coach leaves. The new staff comes in and says there's no offer, and they pull the money for the kid. And he's like, it's a dirty business, and you got to be prepared for those realities.
Yeah, that's sad though to do that to 19, 20-year-olds. But
yeah,
guess that's where we're living in sports right now.
Yeah, that's what it's turned into. So it's a business for sure. Well, it's always been a business. And I think the coaches and schools don't have much power as they used to have over kids. So, but something in the next few years, probably.
Yeah, we'll see. It's crazy though. Like again, another comment. Jamie Sexton said Jeremiah Smith, the It's the stud receiver from Ohio State. He said offered $4.5 million deal. So if you're going to win a title, your players are going to get offers to leave. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
It's crazy though.
And he's jumping, I think, NFL, isn't he?
He's a freshman, true freshman. So
he can't leave yet.
Yeah, he can't leave yet. So
you got to pay to stay too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
We could talk about that all night. But next thing, real quick before we get into all the good questions for you guys. Super Bowl is coming up in a couple of weeks. Obviously Eagles rolled through the Commanders earlier today.
Yes.
Bills are up 22-21 on the Chiefs right now.
They are up.
Yeah, there's 3 minutes left in the third. Do you guys do anything for Super Bowl Sunday? Do you got any like family traditions, or just kind of just watch it go?
Well, the past few years I've left the house and gone and watched it with some friends, but this year our Super Bowl party, instead of watching the Super Bowl, we're going to watch the UFC card the Saturday night on I think the 8th, where Strickland is going to fight the guy from South Africa again. So I don't know what I'm going to do this year.
Okay.
I'll have to figure something out. I'm sure.
So that's like the pregame party though.
Yes.
The Saturday night party. All right.
Yeah, we usually don't do much. We're pretty low key.
Yeah, I do. So when I was a high school basketball assistant here at Comanche for 9 years, and then I took over the 7th grade spot. But our head basketball coach, well, he's our principal now. He does like a prop bet gambling thing on the Super Bowl. It's the only time of the year I gamble. I don't gamble at all. And then we just do like dollar bets, but we bring like 21s and bet dollars on
prop bets.
Random prop bets. Yeah.
What's your favorite? Yeah. What's your favorite prop bet?
I don't know. There's so many out there, but I don't know. We always do the first one we bet on is over under the national anthem.
Oh yeah.
So we're all like going crazy if it goes over, 2 minutes or whatever.
201 or something.
201, yeah. It's just a bunch of dumb men doing that, and it's fun though.
Yeah.
But that's really all I do though. So nothing. Hopefully someday the Bears are in it and I can actually watch that.
Crazy.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about the Bears though. That's too depressing right now.
They just hired.
Yeah,
I do like the hire. I like the Ben Johnson hire.
Yeah,
they just hired the Saints' old defensive coordinator for their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Did they?
Today.
They made that official
about an hour ago.
Is that the Allen?
Yeah, he was the head coach there too. So yeah, those are pretty good hires, I think. But
Antoine Randall,
yeah,
he's sharp.
Yeah. And
my only concern with that hire was another promising young coordinator being brought in to a dysfunctional organization.
Yeah.
And are they going to ruin them?
Time will tell, I guess. But
I know. I hope not.
They did get he was the best coordinator available.
Absolutely.
I think. So, I think at least they did get that. So,
yeah.
I don't know. They have to fix their offensive line for sure, and then go from there because they have talented skill guys.
Have they hired an O-line coach?
I haven't heard that yet. I don't think so. They were trying to get. They were gonna bring the original talks, or they're gonna bring the Lions O-line coach over, but then he ended up staying. Yeah.
Campbell was like, please.
Yeah, because he's losing all his assistants.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's the price of success.
Yeah,
it's true. That's true. Do you guys who do you think's gonna win the Super Bowl? I know there's still one game that's still going on, but
it's always hard to go against the Chiefs because you know that they're seasoned winners. But I don't know. We know Eagles fans that'd love for the Eagles to win. We know Bills fans. I'd be ecstatic if the Bills won. I think the Bills are probably the best story if they were to win. So that would be pretty cool. But
yeah, I thinking back to the 90s and when I was a kid, the Bills losing those 3 in a row,
I think it was
great
4, wasn't it?
Was it 4 in a row? 4 in a row.
Yeah, yeah.
Hall of Famers all over the place, and
Yeah.
it just shows you how hard it is. And
yeah,
no, the Bills would be a great story. Eagles can run the football though, man.
Oh no.
yeah.
And their defense is tough.
It's 7 rushing touchdowns a day.
Yeah,
When that rookie came in at the end of the game and popped that run, he looked legit too. But I mean, he's behind that offensive line, so
yeah, that helps for sure.
yes,
Yeah, and Saquon's a stud. So
yeah, he's different.
yeah,
it is.
He's different.
It is for sure.
And when you can line up in every short yardage situation and get it,
yeah, with the tush
you
push.
you think about as a Bears fan, how many times you've seen the Bears fail on 4th and 1 over the years. It's just baffling, just mind-boggling, empty sets with no fullback, no H-back, no lead back, no nothing on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And then you watch the Eagles just time and time again. That's such a weapon.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That was did you guys watch that game?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That sequence where Washington was offsides like 4 times in a row. Like,
Yeah.
The refs finally like, if they do this again, we can grant a score. I'm like,
Granted, that was hilarious.
like,
Yeah, all the memes that started popping up about the Chiefs hearing that, and people ride them and the officials all the time, and it was pretty funny.
I didn't know that though. You can award a score? Like, I never heard of that.
I didn't realize that they could say, okay, we'll just give them a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, they were on like the inch line, so
yeah, you would be moving that ball infinitely if you kept doing it. So
yeah, that was strange. But all right. So I have more than a couple questions, but we'll get into our talk here. So Coach Z, I know that, as Tanner said, let's hear the record. Don't be humble in the beginning there. So at the beginning, you said you've been head coach for 22 years.
Yep.
142 wins, right?
142, yeah.
142, which is the most in Leroy school history.
Yep.
And obviously, for those that are listening and don't know, the cool thing about you breaking that record was you broke your dad's all-time winning record at 140.
Yep.
So looking at the stats is really cool. So your dad head coach for 22 years and was 140 and 79.
Mm-hmm.
And you just finished your 22nd year and you are 142 and 82. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is how like almost identical those records are for those years. When I was looking it up, I thought that was crazy. So I'm going to ask Bo first. And obviously your grandfather is still a part of the coaching. Is he still part of the coaching staff?
Yeah, he still helps out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The old line.
So he's been coaching for 50 plus years, right? At Leroy. And then obviously your dad. So what does that mean to you to see your grandfather have all that success and then your dad comes and takes it over and has all the success and just the longevity of the Zeleznik name and Leroy football history? So, I mean, obviously it probably makes you proud, but what are some of your feelings on that?
For sure, proud. If they can run a program successfully and they can instill these values into others, then these values are also probably being instilled into me as a person. Because success translates in the wide variety of things that you do. So that's nice as kind of a thought in the back of your mind, I guess. I'm not sure. It's cool. I appreciate what they do, that they've been able to sustain a program and sustain it so well that it can have this success that it's had over the past 40 to 50 years. So it's been good to see that what has been built has stayed.
Yeah. And it's your name, I think that's super cool. So with that being said, do you have any aspirations to be a coach, Bo?
I could for sure see myself doing it. I work with kids often at the elementary school, and I think that coaching and teaching could be something that I'd like to pursue. As far as college goes, I'm looking to major in astronomy and astrophysics, but I
Okay.
could definitely see myself minoring in education or going back later and getting a master's in education or something along those lines as well.
So kind of like could be like a science teacher or
Yes,
something along those lines with that major.
yeah,
That's yeah, it's cool. I didn't know if you. I mean, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I didn't know if you had any aspirations
right.
to
Yeah,
follow the footsteps or not, or
I could
just
foresee
keep
it for
that
sure.
keep
Yeah,
keep that Zeleznik name rolling through it forever. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, it's just cool. It's super cool to see. It's just how identical those records are and
yeah.
going through there.
It's neat.
I
Yeah,
think it says something about the highs and lows of coaching small school football, in small towns with just if you can do it and be consistent and experience success over that long. I mean, it's such good longitudinal data to
yeah,
study because you're always in there somewhere. You're going to have years where you're 3-6. You talked about the
yeah,
year you were with us. We were 3-6, and that year really helped to set up the next 4 or 5 years, and we went on a really good run. But then inevitably, either you know where we either get stale as coaches or get stagnant with what we're doing, or you just don't have the numbers,
yeah,
or you have a class that comes through that doesn't have the interest. Um, then you dip back down again, and from 2019 to 2022, I think we were 12-18. So you take out COVID.
yeah,
We actually had a really good team. I think everybody says that, but we
yeah,
had a good team COVID year. But we in those 3 years, 4 years, 19, 20, 21, and 22, I think we went 12-18 in those 4 years,
yeah,
And so in those times, you've got to self-reflect as a coach and as a staff about what you're doing and what you've got to do differently, because it's not like the kids don't have the potential.
yeah,
You're missing something. And so, anytime. So the one thing I guess what I'm getting at is over these last 50 plus years, when we run into those times, I think we've done a good job of self-reflecting as a program and have made necessary changes. And we've gone 21-3 these last 2 years, off of that 12-18. So I think that's one thing as a small town football program, you've got to be able to do. And we've done that. So
yeah. Well, I can remember back in 2008 when I was with you. I remember like Jason Byro was the fullback,
yeah,
and he was a junior. And then I remember you coming to the staff and kind of talking about switching all like positions for these guys. And I think you moved Byro to a guard for his senior year, if right.
that's
Yes.
correct.
So like that's the thing with the interesting with the self reflection. And like we had a bad year. We went 1-8 this year, or 1-7. Sorry, we play 8 regular season games in Iowa. So we went 1-7, and um, this is like you said, I've been thinking about and reflecting on how we are coaching things and where kids are at positionally, and what we have coming up and all that more than I've done in since my first year as head coach. So um, yeah, and like you said, with the small school, you can't. I mean, you're not an Althoff Catholic that is getting all the all those dudes that are going to Oregon and all that. So you got to just
Yeah,
take what you have and and try to make them better and get better as a staff for sure. So
absolutely.
um,
Yeah, you have what you have,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah, and yeah, so you've got to find a way. One thing. sometimes you get caught up so much in the X's and O's and schemes because that's the fun thing to do
Right.
as a football coach, when the reality is it's the workout culture, it's the off-season culture, it's the players trying to create a player-led program where the players hold each other accountable and we're not the ones doing it. um, that goes a long way to fixing a lot of things.
Yeah.
um, you know because you can X and O till you're last person with the pencil. You can have all those arguments all you want, but at
Right.
the end of the day, the system doesn't matter if you know how to coach it. But you got to have players that want to win for each other, and there's just so many intrinsic things that have to be there.
Yeah.
So
That your comment kind of is directed me toward one of the questions I had for Bo. So, you guys had 18 seniors,
Yep.
and enrollment wise, what are you, Coach C?
225.
225.
Yeah.
So, how many boys are in the senior class?
Probably 30, 34,
30, yeah.
32,
34.
34.
32
All
probably.
right. So 18 out of 32, we'll say, boys are out for football. So Bo, as the quarterback, the leader of the team, I'm assuming, probably the captain, right? I didn't do that research, but I'm assuming you were. So those seniors that were out with your team, so were there any of them or any of your classmates where at any time they were either like on the fence of like maybe not playing, or maybe played as a freshman, didn't go out as a sophomore, then you had to go and be like, hey, let's do this, kind of thing.
Yeah.
How do you so I guess my question, is like, how do you keep them out as the leader? How do you keep them interested in the program and playing football?
I think that as a class, we had always had high aspirations. We'd always loved the game of football. We had been around it our whole lives. There were a few guys, our core group of guys, I feel like were steady throughout, but we did have guys join for their junior or senior year, but we also had guys leave after their freshman or sophomore year. Um, but I think that the big thing is that you're creating a culture that people want to be a part of, and when you're in it, you feel good about where you're at, and that invites people in, and that's how you create a system where kids want to be a part of it.
Nice. So yeah, and then I mean, football is, I always say, is like someone that doesn't play it, you can't really explain to them like how just like the camaraderie and the family feel and the emotions and all that. So
Mhm.
it's just something you want everyone to experience, especially if you're, a high
Right,
school senior
exactly.
boy, and all that. And
Few things like it.
obviously, yeah, exactly. And obviously the success obviously helps it, and having that many seniors committed to it. And when you have a great senior class, those are usually when you have your better teams, right?
Yeah.
So um
I think something that's important for parents of young kids who are listening to this podcast, if you want your kid to have a healthy and successful football experience, then you have to, because it's a numbers game, right?
mhm,
Numbers win in football. The more 17 and 18-year-old kids you got, the better chance you got to win. So you got to keep kids out. And from a young age, you need to be inviting everybody in your class to birthday parties. You need to be inviting everybody in your class for play dates. Even if kids aren't going out for travel ball, you don't, those kids aren't ostracized from the travel ball kids. You
right.
need those kids. So you make sure and you do things with those other kids too. So things don't turn clicky, and you have parents against parents, and well, we don't hang out with that group. We don't do anything with that group. It was always with his group, my wife and I, it was like we invite everybody. And I think that built a group of kids that, even though they had different things they liked to do, and they had different groups that they hung out with, but when it came to football, they all came together to play football. There's a ton of value in that. And I mean, I would just recommend to be very inclusive. And that was the thing with these guys as leaders. They were incredibly inclusive. No matter what was going on, people were invited. And that is huge. I would say at a small town and a small school, but probably everywhere, so.
That's an interesting point too. I guess I mean, with my son, I mean, if he's having a birthday party, it's usually, 6 to 8 kids,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
So
I'm not saying it's cheap.
no, well, yeah, I know.
Invite everybody.
That might be some of the reason why parents don't, but
you're gonna need these guys, right?
I know, yeah.
And
well, and there's
it's just
even
reality.
even now my son's a 4th grader, and there will be a kid I see, like, he got a math award in school, and there's some kids I'd never really seen before in his grade. Afterwards, I'm like, "Who's that kid?" I go, "He was big. Why is he not doing it?" And
Exactly.
so I'm just trying to
Exactly.
get to know those kids, because you can't, when they're 10 years old, you never know how they're going to develop. The kids that are really good now may not get any better, and then those other kids that aren't real coordinated or stuff like that, maybe your best players. So
That's exactly right. And
that's
I always say it, and they're probably sick of me saying it, but this group of seniors we had growing up had very little success in youth sports
okay.
across the board.
Very little.
Very little. I mean, they got pounded in everything they did, and we just kept telling them, just stick together and keep working. Stick together and keep working, and it'll come around. And like I said, they went 21-3 in their 2 seasons of varsity football.
Yeah.
And it's because they weren't super talented kids that got by on their talent growing up, and so didn't learn how to work and overcome failure. They learned to overcome failure and work, and then they developed to maximize their talent through that hard work and experience success. And so I think we lose some talented kids at a young age because they're not being held accountable, and they're not being pushed to self-evaluate and to maximize what they have, because it just comes easy to them, and that's a dangerous pitfall.
Yeah. That's so Coach Z, my question to you. So say you have a player that has played freshman, sophomore, junior year, starts as a junior, got hurt middle of the year, then didn't really come back and play much his junior year, and then comes to you in January and says that he's not going to play his senior year. It's not fun anymore, or something along those lines. So what, I'm sure that's happened. It's happened to me just recently. So
Sure.
what's your message to a kid like that, and to try to keep him part of your program?
Well, to steal a line from Doug Hageman, who's one of my assistants, who's our head softball coach at Leroy, and he grew up in a coach's household at Salt Fork High School in Illinois, in Catlin, Illinois. But he always tells kids, nobody ever says that they regret playing high school football. Because I've never heard a single person say, I regretted playing high school football. But I hear all the time that I regretted not playing.
Yep.
And that's kind of our standard line that we tell people, is that it is something that you are never going to get the opportunity to experience again. Recreationally, it doesn't exist.
Right.
And it's the only sport where everybody comes together. The basketball players, the wrestlers, the track kids, the baseball kids, everybody comes together to play football. It's the only sport that does that. So it's an incredibly unique experience. And So we try to sell that to them. When we have our meeting with incoming 8th graders, and they say, well, my parents don't want me to play. And I'm sure you've heard that.
Yep.
Whether that's true or not, or if that's just them not being sure about it. I just tell them, well, then have your parents tell you what they didn't like about their football experience if they don't want you to play. They can't.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't. So they either didn't play, they don't understand it, or maybe they had a horrible experience. I don't know. But that's usually what we tell kids when they say, I'm not going to do it. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to start using that line if you don't mind.
Yeah. Oh, it's true.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So back to, I'm going to go to Bo here. So obviously with not only football, but just sports in general, you're a wrestler and a baseball player as well. So, talk about like the importance of weightlifting and talk about like if there's a 7th grader listening to our podcast, what is the most important thing you could tell that middle school kid or that 8th grader will say that's getting ready to go into high school? What's the most important thing you would tell them about the weight room?
Well, your confidence is going to be built in the weight room. So then you could be sure of yourself and sure of your abilities and sure that you put the work in there to be able to perform in other places. If you have the innate understanding that you did not put the work in and that you don't deserve it more than the other team or as equal to the other team, then you're not going to perform to that standard. But if you have the innate feeling that you have put that work in and you have been in the weight room for the past 6 years and you've worked your tail off and you have maximized your potential that you have been gifted, then you are going to perform at the highest level that you can.
Dang, that's a great answer for a high school senior right there. Can you come and speak to some of our younger classmen at Comanche? Or I'll put you on the TV and you can send that message. So so what is your guys? Do you guys lift before school? Do you lift during the day? Do you have it during school day, or how's that set up?
Right now, there's a multitude of weightlifting options offered. A lot of kids are enrolled in 0 hour strength, so that's what I do. Where you wake up and you have 6 a.m. lifts and you get it in before school.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a lot of kids that do the strength class during school. So with Coach DeWald, they go out to the weight room and they lift. And then you also have some kids that take an 8th hour or a kind of a study hall strength class with our head basketball coach. So there's a lot of different opportunities for kids to get in the weight room, and the weight room will be unlocked throughout the school day if you need to finish a workout or you can't fit any of those classes into your schedule. And as players and as friends, I got the key and we went and we lifted at 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, or we lifted and over the summer we'd lift at 5 a.m. It's really just, you have to understand that that is going to be how you get better and you have to want to get better.
Yeah, 100%. We just got a brand new weight room facility. It's beautiful. And this is the 2nd year of it. And we offer it during the weight training during the school day. And we're trying to add like a 0 hour for the next couple years. We're trying to get, athletes together. Cause we have athletes in there. We have people that aren't athletes. Some of them do well and lift well, but there's some that don't. And then those students are kind of bringing the whole energy level, the intensity is the culture is not where it should be.
Right.
And we just started a new grading scale where you either get an A or an F. If you follow the workout, do exactly what you're supposed to, you get an A. If you don't, you get an F. So it's a 0, 5, 10 scale, and going that route. So it's just our like in the summer, it's awesome. Like our guys are great. We're getting after it, and we have the majority, our best guys are lifting really well, but we got to get the other guys more involved in picking up the intensity and energy levels. And I've had these conversations countless times, and our strength guy is our offense coordinator, and he is too. And it's just kind of, the culture was what it was, and it's been hard to kind of get it to where we need to get it.
Right.
And we've talked to a lot of other strength coaches. We've even gone to other schools and see how they do things. And the one strength coach told us, he goes, it took us like almost 8 years to get the culture where we have it. He's like, it just got to keep going, keep working, and get them there and go that route. So, but yeah, like you said, Bo, if you can get that group of guys together and stay together and
Right.
lifting, and obviously,
since 8th grade year, we've been, I feel like, out of any group in the state, if you take our time and hours over the past 4 years and you put it up against anyone's, we're going to have just as many, if not more.
Yeah.
And that's them pushing each other.
Yeah. No coaches are there. It's only us.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, you said 21-3 in your junior senior year, and I'd assume that's a big part of it right there was the weight room for sure.
The emotional strength that comes from it.
Yeah.
It's everything. Not just the physical strength, but man, the belief that now you can compete. That's a powerful thing for a 17, 18-year-old, And what you just described is that is what every football program, athletic program in the country is trying to figure out is how do we devise a strength and conditioning system where the environment in the training facility is what we want it to be.
Yeah.
It is very difficult. Very difficult.
And I mean, it's just like the kid has it third hour. Like, well, I don't want to be sweaty all day and stink during school. I'm like, well, I can let you out a little early to go shower. You can bring deodorant, like there's ways around this, kind of thing. But it's just it's an ongoing battle that we're trying to get through. So another thing I wanted to bring up, I saw what do you still call them, tweets on X? What would you call them now?
Sure.
Or a post on X. Okay.
Yeah.
So guy Byron Owens, I think was his name, Leroy guy.
Brian Owens.
Brian Owens. Okay. He talked about, he had a thread about where your youth program has gone and the changes that you made to that, because we're seeing kind of a decline in numbers in our 6th, 7th, 8th grade level. So I thought it was very interesting when I read it. So if you could detail that a little bit, Coach C, for our viewers and for me, that would be awesome.
So, a little background: Brian Owens was a guard on our state championship team in '96.
Okay.
So he's a Leroy alum. He's got kids going through. He had a senior son this year, played linebacker for us. Very good football player. But he and I and some others sat down. Boy, it's probably been almost 10 years ago now. And we were losing kids because of their tackle football experience in elementary school. And so when you're a school our size and you're losing kids because of their elementary tackle football experience, and they're not playing high school football, which we know is an incredible educational opportunity, right?
Yeah.
something's got to change. And so we decided as a community that we would pull our JFL program out of our conference tackle football league and go totally independent on our own and go flag football.
Okay.
And we did that for a couple of years. Actually, Bo's class was the first group that never played tackle all the way through. Then after a couple of years of doing it, we introduced tackle bar, which is basically a thud program at our junior high level.
Okay.
But we've been in-house now for probably 8 years, just Leroy kids playing Leroy kids. We get anywhere from 24 to 30 kids out every 2 grades.
Okay.
So 3rd and 4th grade, 5th and 6th grade, 7th, 8th grade. And what it's done is it's created an environment where parents feel comfortable in allowing their kids to participate and get them into football, learning football, getting excited about football. And we are getting kids to come out in high school now. And then at that point, if they don't like it, it's on us, right?
Right.
Whereas it's not on the guy coaching 5th grade tackle. And that's what we wanted to do. We just wanted to maximize numbers. You'd be amazed that we went into a meeting several years ago into our conference meeting, and guys just looked at us like we were crazy. Like there is no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
No way the community would allow it to happen. And therein lies the issue is there cannot be, especially in a small town and a small school, there cannot be a divide between the JFO program and the high school program. I mean, it's got to be 12th grade through 3rd grade aligned philosophically. Yeah. You're never going to have people that are going to agree with what you're doing. And we still have people that send their kids into Bloomington, Normal, and Illinois to play tackle. We still have that. But at the end of the day, those 1 or 2 kids that love football, that are going to be ballers, that want to go do that, that's fine. But you can't win with 2 kids.
Right.
You got to have numbers. And so we need those other 15 to 20 kids out here trying it. And at least maybe think about coming out in high school. And so, yeah, our numbers, we've been consistently 45 to 50 kids in the program. And we'll see over time what the data says, but so far so good. I mean, numbers have been good. Even kids that don't join the program have gone out in high school because the stigma of, well, I didn't play JFL tackle, so I'm too far behind. We got rid of that stigma.
Okay.
Right? So now I can come out even though I didn't play in 7th grade or 8th grade.
Because then that kid's kind of in the same level playing field as the other kids, right? Since you're not a traditional.
Yeah. And we had our player meetings these last 2 weeks that we have with the guys coming back. And I had a freshman lineman tell me that exact quote, that I didn't play in 7th and 8th grade. So, this is my first time playing football since 6th grade. But he was fine. He was comfortable. He's a good football player.
Yeah.
But it would stink if we didn't have him, so.
So I'm not real familiar with the tackle bar. So that's they're on the back, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're on the back. So you basically got to form them up and grab them.
And so that counts as like the tackle.
That counts as the tackle.
So you're not actually bringing them down.
Right.
You're just
everybody stays up.
Yeah. Okay.
It's glorified flag.
Okay. But you still have all the equipment on, shoulder pads, helmet, everything. Yeah. Okay.
Here's the thing I like about it, especially playing in-house with your own kids. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody understands where everybody's at mentally with this football thing. And the kids that want to be more physical are more physical. The kids that don't want to be physical, they back off. And so everybody's kind of in their own developmental stage. But what you don't have is Smithville coming in with their team and absolutely hammering you. And
Yeah.
those kids that emotionally aren't ready to deal with that, getting killed and learning survival tactics just to get and dreading showing up on a 95-degree August Saturday to play JFL tackle football. I mean, it's insane when you start to lay it all out.
Yeah.
And so we don't start till after Labor Day. We don't start playing games until after junior high baseball's done
In
to
the
max
spring.
in
Or
in the
yeah,
fall.
In the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, to maximize participation. So our season is a 4-week season basically between junior high baseball and junior high basketball starting. So every kid has a chance to try it.
Yeah.
And it goes 4 weeks and it's done.
Do you
And
just
that's
play just one game a week or
one game a week
one game a week?
against themselves.
Right. Right.
And that's it. And again, we get questions every year from guys that have kids that, my kid needs to be doing this. It's like, I disagree. You
Yeah.
know, I've grown up around football. I've played football at high school and college level. I have coached it all these years. And you can't sit there and tell me your 10-year-old has to play tackle.
Right.
It does not equate to success in high school. It just doesn't. So yeah, it's worked well for us as a smaller town.
What do you know off the top of your head? Like, so each kid has a tackle bar, whatever,
Yeah.
on their back. So what do those run? Do you know? Like,
Well, you'd have to shoot Brian a
okay.
message.
I'll look him up. Yeah.
Yeah, look him up. He's got all the info.
Yeah.
He's very knowledgeable.
Great guy.
Yeah.
See, we would, so our system's a little different. So we play flag until 4th grade.
Okay.
And then we start tackle 5th and 6th grade.
Yeah.
And our 7th and 8th grade is affiliated with like the school. So it's not like a JFL, type thing.
Yeah.
Like
It's a school-based program.
It's a school-based program. So I don't know if we would be able to implement the tackle bar type feel in the 7th and 8th grade, but I think it's definitely something we could do through 6th grade.
Elementary level.
Yeah. Because my son's gonna, since 5th grade, the only option we have is tackle. So he's gonna be playing tackle football next year. And I'm like, I don't know.
Right. As the head football coach.
Yeah, I know. I'm not 100% sure if he'd be ready for it or not yet. But
so I got a friend by the name of Alan Loy who told me something very profound many years ago. And he said, if you're not supposed to be lifting weights until you're 13, 14 in 8th grade, why are we playing tackle football before that? Think about that.
Yeah.
And when you think about the head and neck, so the neck and the traps and the shoulders, so your shock absorber that needs to be developed, right? Because what do you guys, you do what we do, right? We're doing power shrugs. We're doing everything to develop this neck and head because that is a huge component to head injuries.
Yeah.
Which is what scares people off. And if you're not able to have a comprehensive lifting strength development program until a certain age, then why are you tackling before you can even do that, which is supposed to keep you safe playing tackle football? I mean, and I'm sure there's counter arguments to all this, but
yeah, it's that. I found it very interesting, and I don't know, it's something that I may start striking up the conversation with some people about. So do like it for sure.
And everybody's got different reasons for their JFL program existing.
Yeah.
Because in bigger districts, it's a weeding. I mean, what is it? It's a weeding out thing, right? I mean, you're going to bring in your 45, 50 dudes that are football guys, right? And they've gone through that system, that 6 years of tackle football and they're ready to rock and roll when they hit high school, and they know they're going to have these numbers every year. Whereas in small towns all over the place, you don't know what you're going to have.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden teams are going 8-man.
Yeah.
Right. What's that Bills score?
32-29 Chiefs with 3.5 minutes left. Sorry, I can get you out of here if you want to go finish it.
No, you're good.
No,
Just let the Chiefs win again. That's all.
Yeah. I do have a couple more questions before we go. If you
Sure.
guys if you got time.
Yep.
So we talking about Leroy. Obviously, you guys made the semifinal run. Lost to Lena Winslow, who obviously is a 1A powerhouse in the state of Illinois.
They are.
Yeah. So, Bo. Okay, so your dad shared your career stats. So almost 4,300 total yards, 64 touchdowns, 246 career tackles, and a 2-time first team All-Stater. Okay, so very impressive stats. So
thank you.
Very, very good there. The other thing, I did some digging here. So this season, you guys rushed for close to 5,000 yards. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Um,
We were around 4,800 something.
Okay. And
5,000 plus total.
Yeah. And then Bo as a quarterback, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had over 1,600 yards rushing.
Yeah.
27 rushing touchdowns. The most interesting stat of all is you had 5 completions for 5 touchdowns. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So I have to ask, how many times did you guys throw the ball this year?
Ooh,
10.
10 times.
It was 5 for 10.
Damn. So
5 for 10.
5 for 10. You played 12 games, 13 games.
Yeah. 10
5
times.
for 10. Did I throw? I knew I had, five touchdowns for us. I had 1 pick six. So there's 6 touchdowns.
And that's true.
You can't count that.
What were my other 4?
So 6 of your 10 passes, completed passes, were touchdowns, is what you're saying.
Yes. One to the other team.
And one to the other team. Okay, so my question is, you guys obviously are running the ball. And you switch to the flex bone and kind of assuming like midline triple option type stuff, right?
Yep.
So you probably saw 9-10 guys in the box most games, maybe 11. So what? Okay, because I'm the spread guy here. So when you're under center, Bo, and you see 10 guys in the box and you have midline on, like, I know you're reading a certain guy, probably the D tackle or whatever you're reading. And what is in your mind? Like you just like, I'm running it. That's what coach said. Or is there anything ever where you're like, can we call like a pass play here? It's probably going to work. Or you just,
there's an occasional time where I ask for us to toss the ball, not necessarily pass it, but
that's our pass play.
Rocket toss.
Yeah.
We audible to QB sneak. And I could flip play side at the line of scrimmage. I can audible to QB sneak. But no, it's really, it's a will thing. It's a mental thing. It's an emotional, it's an emotional strength thing where I'm going to run it, and are you going to stop it? And that's just really, and people couldn't stop it, and we kept running it, and you kind of feed off that and you build off that, and that becomes your persona of who you are. And you just roll with it. So
yeah, Coach C, like, how do you, so I always ask coaches this, and especially coaches like you that are smash mouth, run first, run often. Like, how do you instill like that physicality in, obviously Bo has it, but also like your linemen, even your wing backs that are blocking, and everything. How do you instill that?
You got to get them confident. So, you could go all the way back to March when we start doing workouts, strength and conditioning workouts together.
Organized.
Football. Yeah. So we do
Okay.
organized strength and conditioning workouts a few days a week beginning March 1.
Okay.
And we do that through to August. So you begin to develop emotional confidence just in strength and conditioning training together. And then when we get into the season, assignment accuracy will make you faster and more physical. If they know where they're going and what they have to do, they are going to play faster. And when you play faster, you look more physical. And I will guarantee you, if you went and you broke down our films, individual by individual, you are going to see guys who don't look very physical. But when you look at the whole thing standing back, it looks like boom.
Yeah.
But that is more a product of guys confident in where they're going and who they're supposed to be blocking. And the other thing is the understanding that one, with our system, when you talk about 9-10 guys in the box, but with the option system, you're always calling a double team on the first man inside the hole, right?
Yep.
So you're always getting a push in a bubble immediately at the snap, which lends itself to that puts more pressure on the kid outside the hole who's responsible for the fullback, who has got to slam down hard. So with proper splits, assignment accuracy, you just put pressure on the defense to have to execute every single play.
Well, and there's always probably a guy unblocked because that's the guy you're reading, correct?
Yeah,
and most of your usually too.
Yeah.
So
so here, okay. So philosophically, that's why we went to it. We had those years, we went 3-6, 3-6, 3-6. Finally, we're like, we got to do something different, right? We can't just base block everybody because Gibson City, their training program is to the moon. I mean, their kids are big, fast, physical. Tri-Valley is big, fast, physical. We're seeing these big 1A, 2A programs who have more numbers, who have big, fast, physical kids. And we're like, okay, so, we went to the service academy approach.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, so we went away from just base blocking a lot of stuff. And I brought in a guy who knows how to install, knows how to teach, knows how to call a game, running the flex bone. And that has been all the difference these last couple of years. And it's just confidence in assignments. And now when you talk about being physical, defensively, we do very few things, but we just teach it again and again and again. And there's non-negotiables about how you do those things. But there's always somebody, so like the Lena Winslow game in the semis, we were incredibly physical and we came forward, but they out executed us.
Yeah.
Right.
And you make a couple small mistakes against that kind of program, and that's all it took. I was very proud of how physical we played, but in the end, they made more plays than we did, and that's the way it goes. But it all starts in the weight room.
What
and then keep it simple and play fast.
What you said you do organized activities starting March 1st.
Yeah.
Like, so what can you go in a little more detail on that? Like, what are those?
I teach 0 hour.
Okay.
Strength and conditioning. And so I'll send a calendar out and say, okay, and that's already got 28, 30 football guys in there anyway.
Okay.
So I'll say, okay, let's say this week, Monday and Wednesday, I want all football players to show up to 0 hour and join our class. And we get after it. Right. And then not everybody's going to want to get up in the morning, so I do a couple other days a week. I'll say, okay, baseball and track practices get done at 5:30. Let's meet at the weight room at 5:30 and let's just work out for 45 minutes. And then it's up to them to put that out on the team chat and say, hey, everybody get to the weight room at 5:30 tonight because there's no games, there's nothing going on. We schedule around all that.
Yeah.
And they show up and we get a good workout in as a team. Right. And we do that March, April, May.
Okay. Is there like a punishment if they don't show up?
No.
I mean, other than they probably aren't going to see the field, but
so we got rid of attendance policies.
Okay.
Because what was happening was, well, you think about it as a husband. When your wife tells you to do something, are you happy about it?
Depends on what it is.
Do you? Well, but I mean, it's like, hey, go clean the kitchen or go fold some laundry, and you're not mentally ready to do it. What do? You pout, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, and you go.
I don't like jump up and do it right away. Maybe.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But you do it. But think about your attitude while you're doing it. Now, you take a 17, 18-year-old kid and you say, you have to be there. And what's their attitude? Now you got kids in there. They're like, I'm only here because I have to be here. And it's in their body language. It's in their effort. And it impacts the chemistry and the mentality of the team and the workout. So we got rid of that and just said, you want to win, you want to maximize your potential, then you show up. If you don't, you don't. And put it on the kids, and they took it, and that's changed our mentality in the weight room when it comes to workouts. So it's been a lot healthier than telling them you have to be there.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a small thing, but it's made a big difference.
Now, do you do you have other kids that are also lifting like other places, or are they only lifting with you?
Yeah, no, we've got guys that go see trainers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I just tell them, you've got to get them to understand that working out with your team is just as valuable.
Right.
They have to see you there, because when they see you there and they see you working with them, that's just building trust. Teams that don't work out together don't win. Unless, like you said, you're a prep academy that can pull from 30 miles around and you're getting top talent.
Right.
That changes things. But as a public school, and you have what you have, if you're going to create a trusting, winning culture amongst your team, they've got to be together and they've got to work out together.
Yeah. Yeah. We're trying to get to that like 0 hour, like you were talking about. I think we got it approved for next year, and
awesome.
Basically,
it's
going to be like, hey, this is what you got to do.
It's a difference maker. And there's kids that don't want to do it. They don't want to get up in the morning, and that's fine. And we don't put a lot of pressure on kids in winter, because basketball and wrestling are taxing.
Yeah.
That winter season is exhausting on everybody. So we let them compete in the winter. The kids that aren't out for winter sports, it's usually 12 to 15 kids anyway total. We'll do some things with them, and they're excited to do things because they're looking for something to do. But we really don't start pushing kids in terms of diet and strength training until March. But when we hit March, it's okay. We start blasting out diet information.
Okay.
You got your 4,000 or 5,000 calories. You better get going daily. Here are our workouts for this week. You need to, get there, push your weight, push each other.
Yeah.
And try to maximize till August.
Love it. Yeah.
And if you got dudes, you're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
But you'll still be competitive if you don't have studs.
Right.
Which that's what you want.
Well, I mean, Bo said it perfectly, I think, when he said the weight room, that's where you get your confidence, and that's what we keep telling people. And you can see it, with maybe like a little freshman that comes in and is not very strong and then keeps working, develops, and then by the time he's junior or senior,
Keep
he's your
working.
he's your
Yes.
dude, you know? So,
Yes. Just
but
keep working.
yeah.
It's hard though, because football is delayed gratification
Yeah.
personified, man. I mean, it is the ultimate example of delayed gratification. You've got to work out for 8 months. You got to practice 4 days a week, and you get one game, and there's only 9 of them, or you're guaranteed 8. We're
8.
guaranteed 9, and that's it. And it's hard, for kids to be like, "Oh wow, like that's a lot of work
Yeah.
to do this."
For sure.
But
And it's
when
not
you,
for everyone, but
not for everyone,
yeah.
but I think you've been to the state finals, right? We just hosted the semifinal round game, so the final 4 game at our place.
Yeah.
And you've got 3,500 people, 4,000 people standing around that field. And now kids start to figure out that, oh, that's why I'm doing this, because this
Right.
is pretty amazing, this memorable experience right now.
Yeah.
So
Again, it's one of those things where you can't explain to people that aren't part of it, right?
I've never done it. Yeah.
I have one more question for you guys, and I'll let you go. Chiefs won, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
they're amazing.
yeah, I know.
They're
It's
amazing.
32-29 final. But all right, so
Wow.
I think I said it before we went live, but I purposely not gonna ask the question for Bo, like what it's like playing for your dad, what's like coaching your kid, because you guys probably answered that so many times. But I guess my question is, what was it like when it ended? So when that final buzzer went off, like how, just explain, because I just think, I mean, to hear that perspective would be good. Just what you both went through knowing it was over.
Okay.
Oh, you can go first.
Well, I think there was an interview where I spoke on the same question. I think it's still pretty sound in its reasoning, that you understand that this part of your life is over and you've enjoyed it. And if you've done all you can, if you've done all you could, you've done all you could. And um, there's going to be peace within yourself in accepting that. And it's not going to be the last time that you're with your dad. You're with your dad throughout the entirety of the rest of your life. So it's not as if that your relationship is suddenly ending with your father. It's that now you get to go and you get to pursue something else. So you get to try new things, and he's going to be with you every single step of the way and this new adventure you're taking. So you have to be grateful for the duality of, I just finished this and this is over, but now I then get to go try this and do something new. So it's all about how you look at the situation that you're in, and how you emotionally handle it.
Are you
I,
ditto on that, Coach C?
my perspective on it was that, because I can still remember, like when the clock hit 0 at Paxton when we got beat my senior year. I
Okay.
can still, vividly remember that. In the playoff, we got beat 20-18. I played on a broken ankle. It was back in the old Wednesday, Saturday format. So
Okay. Yeah.
we beat St. Joe on Wednesday night, went to undefeated Paxton on Saturday. They had killed us earlier in the year, like 35-6. And we went over there and they beat us 20-18. They stopped us on a 2-point conversion.
Okay.
So awesome game. And so I can remember that game vividly. And yeah, no, I was heartbroken, but heartbroken more because I think I wanted to win a state title, for my hometown and for my father. And I don't think anything changed when he came through.
Yeah.
That because I wanted him to experience that.
Right.
In the community. So there's always been a portion of, I want this for our community. I want this for our school, because it just helps to create a healthy school culture, a healthy community environment. You want young people doing great things. Giving people hope, giving people something to cheer about, something people to be proud of. Um, that's why you're doing this. And I always want kids to have a chance to experience late playoff, what that's like.
Yeah.
Because those games are special, and so to get to host a program like Lena Winslow at our place, to showcase our facility and do that and have that game was huge for our community and our program. I wanted to win that game for him,
Right.
and so yeah, that part sucks, and it's coming because I remember looking at Coach Lindstrom after we beat Aurora Christian. I remember playoff run was not your old school 1A playoff run. We had to go Aurora Christian, Rockford Lutheran. I mean, so it was very different. I remember that Aurora Christian game ended, and I looked at Coach Lindstrom, and I was like, I'm very glad we won that because I was not ready for it to be his last game,
Yeah.
And by the time we got to Lena, it was like, well, you're giving yourself a chance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't work out, but yeah, you see all that work that nobody sees, and you see all the sacrifices that nobody sees, and you want them to have that moment, but you'll be there.
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully we have the success that you guys have.
It'll be
or had. Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed following you guys and from afar and keeping tabs on Leroy football. I always do. Probably always will.
Yeah. You're always welcome back.
Yeah.
Anytime. How old are you? Kid's 10, you said?
Yeah, he's 10.
We'll send you some NIL money.
Jeez. You're the second coach to say that.
Really?
There's a coach over.
Somebody's already got to you before us, huh?
Well, yeah, he's this assistant coach at this town Monticello next to us. Well, they're in our district, and Knox was with me, and he's like, "Hey, what's your son's name?" And I was like, Knox, and he's like, "Hey, come over here, Knox." And he gets out a piece of paper and he writes down a number. He goes, "Here's our NIL deal for you to come here." And he's like, "Go show it to your dad." And I'm like, idiot, but we didn't accept it. So, but we do have that there. I think you guys are frozen. Anybody there? Coach Z? Anybody there? Nothing? All right. Well, we will sign off. That was Beyond the Scoreboard, episode number 33. Coach BJ Zeleznik and his son Bo. We'll be back next week with Stenda, and we'll keep it. See you guys later. Peace.